Jacob's well was a meeting place where heaven touched earth. So I said, what is your name? You know? He said, my name is Ra Noah. I thought, Ra Noah. Right, Mr. Ra Noah. I looked his name up in the lexicon later, and it's two Hebrew words, Ra and Noah. Ra means to appear, and Noah means to alight or touch down. I thought, whoa, that's interesting. Ra Noah. He said to me, when God met with Abraham in Genesis 12:7, he said, he quoted the scripture, and Abraham passed through the land unto a place called Sychem, and the Lord appeared unto Abraham. I said, yeah, I'm familiar with that. And said unto him, this land I will give you for your seed, and so on. Then in Genesis 28:8 it says, and he removed them thence to a mountain east of Bethel. And there he built an altar. And the Lord called upon the name, and they called upon the name of the Lord. I said, I don't know what you're saying to me. He said, well, this whole geographic area, there were places where heaven touched earth. One was at Bethel, and he named these places over a whole region where there were open heavens. And I said, oh, yes, well, I remember Jacob's ladder. That was good. And so I looked at this angel and I said, what is your job function? And he looked at me intently and he said this, I have the ability to open the heavens wherever God designates. I said, you alone? He said, there are more whom I command, but that is my job. And with that, he held out his arms like this and he started to spin really quick until he was just a white blur. And I thought, well, he looked like Wonder Woman, He changed, the whole thing changed. Then a vortex began to open up as he began to spin. It was a bit like an inverted water spout. It just opened up about 10, 15 feet wide. Then the Lord spoke to me when this was happening. He said, I've commissioned my angel, Ra Noah, to open up a way for you. But he said, the enemy has opposed my purpose for you. I thought, well, that's not good news. But he said, if you continue to pray and offer thanksgiving to me along with faith, you will see a supply line open for you. And I thought about this. I looked at the angel and I said, well, why has the enemy hindered your work for me? He looked at me and said, we can only work for you while you cooperate with us. Well, I said, but I didn't even know you were there. He said, thanksgiving, worship, faith, and prayer empowers us to work for you, particularly thanksgiving. He said, we can form a corridor or portal which the enemy cannot penetrate. A secure line between heaven and earth. It reminded me of Daniel when he was praying. The angel had trouble getting through. And then he said this to me. He said, those angels are pretty clued in. He said this, it's like what you people understand as a wormhole. I said, do you know about wormholes? It was just a portal that went up. And I thought, oh, good. Then he looked at me again. He said, it's like a horn of plenty. Provision, gifts, mantles, grace can be poured through it to you. Now, I'd heard that term somewhere before, the horn of plenty. And then later when I checked it out, it's an American thing. You know, it's to do with Thanksgiving and, a horn of plenty, connected with Thanksgiving and supply, often connected with the harvest festival. And they said to me, great grace will be poured out, sometimes over whole cities. He said, we can form portals over whole cities. And great grace will be poured out over those regions. Gifts, miracles will be poured out, revelation. And he said that times the bottom of this portal can be moved through intercession to another place. All this was kind of building up within me by now. He said, look, he said, great grace is about to be poured out like never before. Grace. Those who are sincere and hungry, grace is on the way to change them. Portals will open up over geographical areas and pour through. And you will reap what you have not sown as far as the harvest is concerned. And then saw different angels coming through this portal. It was interesting to watch. They just come whoop, and stand on the earth. And I thought, well, he said, wisdom and prudence is assigned to many people. And he said, these are angels. Oh, these are angels, are they? And he said, wisdom and prudence will be assigned to many people for inventions of millennium technology before the millennium occurs. I thought, wow. Now this is getting interesting. I looked up those two words, wisdom and prudence. They occur in Proverbs 8 and verse 12. I, wisdom, accompany or dwell with prudence and find out knowledge of witty inventions. They're angels. I thought, wow, that's great. Angels carry mantles of all kinds that can be bestowed on people. Grace, grace, grace.